Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Couchy and I'm here to talk to you today about alts, specifically leveling alts in BFA 8.0 from 110 to 120. Leveling in this expansion sees multiple new systems added into the mix that could influence your decision on how to pump your alts to max level. Whether it be questing, island farming, or dungeon spamming, I am looking for the fastest and most efficient way to get to max level playing the game as intended, without farming ridiculous items and playing as if you have no real knowledge of the game. This guide, as it were, is made for the folks that don't level very often, but want to get an idea of how long it would take to get there, so let's get started. A few caveats to the testing. I did mine with a shaman, healing through dungeons and DPSing through islands and quests. Playing a hybrid spec can help with the dungeon queues, but it is also a class that does not have great solo capability through questing, and needs a little loving in the number department. I employed similar strats to other characters I have leveled, and found that the numbers are similar enough to use the shaman as a good test point. I also used the add-on Azeroth Autopilot, which streamlines the entire questing experience and makes it easy as pie to know where to go next. I will say that tank classes and solo powerhouses like Warlock and Hunters will have an easier time through the leveling process than others. I also started each new leveling method with the same % experience with the same number of rested experience bars to make it as even as possible. I also wanted to discuss War Mode. For the extent of my testing, I had War Mode turned off. The impact of War Mode can severely inhibit or increase your speed based on server battlegroup balance and familiarity with spec versus all others. The experience and item bonus you receive can be huge, especially during those big quest turn-ins or dungeon completions. But you can also get ganked for 15 minutes and severely throw off your EXP per hour gain. I also did not include battleground farming in this either. Again, this can be very dependent on your battle group and how well they do at winning. If you manage to win every single game, you will fly through the levels. If you don't, you're left out of the sandbox. I was looking for the most stable sources of experience to concentrate on. So let's start this with the original gangster, the natural level progression through questing. Over the course of a few levels, and starting with 4 rested experience bars, I gained on average 950,000 experience per hour based on standard leveling through the 3 zones. The bonus in starting with the rested experience is that an entire level can be completed with rested experience still active. Whenever you turn in a quest, it extends your rested bar, it does not eat into it. It is essential when leveling new characters to have as much rested experience as possible. The process can be fairly mundane, as you would have already finished these quests and events on your main character. Though questing does provide you with the flight points in the zones to make it easier to world quest once you've hit max level. I don't need to talk about questing too much as everyone knows what it is. Let's take a look at the other ways players know of dungeon farming. Dungeons can be a phenomenal way of leveling. Get a guild or friend group together and plow through these to max level glory. Every time you complete a dungeon, the bonus experience from each completed dungeon totals around 1/8 of your total experience bar. You also gain about 1/8 of your total bar through the mobs that you kill inside. If you could do a random dungeon every 15 minutes without fail, you're looking at around 1,000,000 experience per hour with 4 rested bars. In order to get this, you'd have to be pretty lucky. The pug life can be pretty rough. On average, a dungeon takes 20 minutes and reduces your XP per hour to about 750,000. And that is assuming you're still going through the dungeon at normal, without people screwing around. Dungeons can supply you the gear to help alleviate some of these problems, and will help in those first few hours at 120. Dungeons can be good and really depend on your individual scenario. A solo DPSer will have longer wait times and less impact on the dungeon clear versus a healer or tank queue. Nothing has really changed here in the history of dungeon leveling. It's still a good source of items and experience, and lets you chill in the main city and farm at your leisure. If you're in no rush, this is definitely a good alternative. Finally, island expeditions have been added into the game as the prime source of Azerite farming. 3-player instanced content that lets you random queue with 2 others and gain Azerite along the way is pretty good. The completion of each one also has a chance to get you gear, cosmetics, and toys. Every time you complete an island, you gain a bonus of 75,000 experience each time you win. A normal island is very difficult to lose. As long as each of you are doing something, you will win. AoE grinding is your quickest way to victory, and you can complete these anywhere between 6 and 10 minutes. Each hour, you are looking at around 780,000 experience. That's a fairly hefty amount. The only problem with these is they are the equivalent of leveling by mob grinding. This is not a very engaging way to level, and frankly, isn't the most rewarding. The experience is good, and would work as a nice break from leveling now and then, but definitely not the best way to go about the process. If you have a guild group or friends with you, it greatly improves this process. You can also complete them during weeks that have special items you can purchase with doubloons that can insta-kill a large pack of mobs. This method can get you upwards of 900k per hour, but play and mob type has a great deal of effect. Every method has its benefits, but questing seems to be the most efficient from an XP per hour measure to get you to 120 the fastest. If you can quest with a group, even better, as the quest turn-ins happen so much quicker. With this, you should be able to hit max level anywhere between 7 and 8 hours, or roughly 10 hours as a solo player. I hope this helps some of you make your decision when leveling your alts. Let me know what you think is better in the comments below. I am always looking for better ways to level up characters I will probably never play. Thanks for sticking around, like and subscribe, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.